I just saw people, like people who'd passed. Um, I know things, I hear things. And so I just thought it was normal. And then when I think I was probably 13 and I went to a sleepover and I can't remember exactly what happened, but I said something about somebody's grandma and everybody just looked at me because the girls, she was kind of surprised. And I'm like, oh my God, like everybody's not seeing her.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to All Things Spiritual Podcast. I'm Rachel Ortega, and I'm here with the lovely Michele Snelling today. And I'm really excited to have her joining us for our podcast.
Thank you so
So
much, Rachel. I'm so excited to
you're
be here.
you're welcome. Excited to you're like my first person that I'm ever going to interview, like ever. So, and
Yay!
yeah.
I
So
love it.
So yeah, hence all the technical difficulties and me trying to figure this out. Like I've recorded my own content, but this is the first time I've done an interview myself that, I wasn't on the other end of.
Awesome.
So, Michele, why don't you take a moment to just kind of introduce yourself, who you are, what you do?
Okay.
I
I'm Michele Snelling. I'm an intuitive medium. I'm also an aromatherapist. I have my own line of channeled, custom created essential oil and salt products. I'm also a block therapy instructor and a fascia alignment coach. So I dabble in a lot.
Awesome. I love it. And I've had the pleasure of knowing Michele probably, I don't know, like I know it's been at least a year. Like I met you a while back and we kind of moved in the same circles, but we didn't really get to know each other till more recently.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I think Michele, I think you're amazing. Michele also, I don't know if I don't remember if you said this or not, but you're also a psychic medium.
Yeah. Yep.
And
I am. Yeah, I am.
so Michele also has a radio show that she does every week. And you're on another one on Mondays too, as
Yeah.
well, right?
I
Yes.
host Michelle in the Middle on Wednesday from 12 to 3 Mountain Time. And then I co-host Rise of the Empire Motivation Mondays from 9 to 12 Mountain on Mondays. So it's fun.
So, and we'll have
I
to
love
include those links so people can check them out.
That'd be
So,
great.
Michele, thank you for joining me today. And so, I just wanted to ask you just a few things so we could get to know you. So, you're one of our premier members on the All Things Spiritual group. And for
Yes.
those of you who don't know, we have a directory. And in our directory, we have different tiers. And so, premier members are people that we've worked with, that we recommend, that are highly recommended by us, people that we've worked with personally, that we know them, we've vetted them personally, and so they're highly recommended. And so I'm so excited to have Michele on board because I think she's really amazing.
Oh,
So,
thank you.
Michele, why don't you tell us a little bit about you, how you got started in all of this?
Okay. Well, it's kind of, I mean, I've been connected. I've been intuitive my whole life. Like I didn't even know that it was a thing that everybody else wasn't when I was young. I just saw people, like people who'd passed. Um, I know things, I hear things. And so I just thought it was normal. And then when I think I was probably 13 and I went to a sleepover and I can't remember exactly what happened, but I said something about somebody's grandma and everybody just looked at me because the girls, she was kind of surprised. And I'm like, oh my God, like everybody's not seeing her. I was like, oh no. And I didn't really know I had no idea what it was called. I had no idea what it was. I didn't really know anything about it. And it was just part of me. So I didn't really think about it or, I didn't like embrace it or push it away. It was just there. And then I had something happen when I was in college where I said something and it kind of came true and it scared me. And so I was like, done with this. I'm out and pushed it away, but I always say, like, you can't ever really, it's not ever really gone, and it wasn't gone and I knew it, but I wasn't actively like connecting to it, even though weird things would still happen and I would still know stuff, and I just kind of brushed it off. And then when I was probably in my early 30s, it was shortly after I had my daughter, and I just started having this feeling like something was missing, and I knew what it was. I was like, oh, I don't really want to do that. I was
Yeah.
really resisting it. And I don't know why I was so scared. I really, now that I look back, I think it was so silly. At the time, I was scared of it. And so I started knowing what was, that I was missing something and that I would probably need to, but I didn't do anything. And then my niece passed suddenly in 2004, and I made a promise the day she passed that she wasn't here to live. So I would do everything I could to make sure that I lived the life God wanted me to live. And whatever that meant, and I knew what that meant, but I was really afraid to say it. You know, anyway, I just kind of acted like I didn't know for a while. And then it just kind of happened. Like I had my first really my first medium, like what I knew was mediumship connections with my niece, right? Like within a couple days after she died. And then I just kind of relaxed into it and was like, okay, God, like I'm in it. I've promised, like, let's go. And so um nothing really happened for a while. And then I took a class, like a community class. And um yeah, that's where it just like all opened, like really opened. And I realized, okay. And then from there, I started doing readings. And then that's when I was having a really hard time with absorbing the energy of all of like I was sharing an office. So I'd go into the office and I would feel all the energy of the practitioners that shared the office, all the energy of their clients, the energy of my clients as I was moving through the day. And it's like, this isn't working. And it was in a store. So it's like, I can't sage every day. And so I started asking for something to help. And that's when I started getting like what I now call recipes for some sprays to help me, some essential oil sprays to help me clean and clear the energy. And that was how my product line got started, because I was given the recipe and I did it and it worked and I loved it. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I got a recipe for this and it helped. I wonder if I could get a recipe for this. And so then I just started asking. Sometimes I would ask for them and they would come, and then sometimes they would just be given to me. And it's just kind of grown. So from there, it went from salt and essential oil sprays to salt scrubs, salt soaks, skincare line. I have like a mask and a couple other things for skin, and then flower essences. So, woo,
Nice.
that's kind
I've
of,
tried I've
sorry.
tried some of your products, and they're real I love your products, actually, they're really great.
Oh, thank you, Rachel. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and so you said you got these downloaded recipes. That is so cool. I love that.
Yeah, it was, I mean, again, it was kind of a weird thing because I'd never experienced anything like that. But when I knew that I couldn't sage, just my immediate thought was to just ask God to help me, to guide me to what would help. And had no idea that it was connected, but shortly after, probably like within a day, I started getting like oils that would drop in, like juniper, lemon, peppermint, eucalypt, all, and they were just kind of rolling around in my head for a while. And I'm like, this is weird. And then I thought, well, I'm just going to write them down so that I can get them out of my head, because it was really weird. And so I wrote them all down. And then, like, as I was writing them, I was feeling like, oh, this one, but not this one. And then as I like check marked the ones, I'm like, this is a recipe. I think that's what this is anyway. And so that's how it all got started. I just, and the why I say like the intuitive mediumship is kind of the thread is because I was already practiced in following my intuition. So when this stuff started coming in, it just kind of felt not normal, but I knew I needed to follow through with it.
Yes. I love that. Those It's so important to listen to those intuitive nudges, right?
Right. Yes. Very,
So
very important.
So the other questions I want to ask you in regards to, the mediumship work that you do. So for you, because I know everybody's a little bit different,
Mhm.
how does it feel for you like when you're connecting with spirit? Like do you get a certain sensation? Is it just an awareness and a knowing? Like how do you know the difference between connecting like psychically and then connecting mediumistically?
Psychically, even though it isn't in my brain or part of my mind, it feels more up here psychically. Mediumship feels more like a whole body thing. It's like I can just feel, and then, sometimes depending on how spirit wants to connect with me. Sometimes I feel like I'll feel coolness or I'll feel warmth or I'll feel tingly, and so that's how I know it's mediumship. It's just different. I mean, yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, but
It does. It does. It makes sense for me. I know, like, when I connect some, not all the time, but especially early on in my journey, my head would start tingling and then I would know, like, oh, wait, there's somebody here. But
yeah.
I've had a reading with you and I think you were amazing.
Oh,
But,
thank you.
and I've seen you work also. And one of the things I find really interesting that I really like is you get a lot of numbers.
Yeah.
And I love that. I don't get a lot of numbers. And so I'm always fascinated when I watch you and you're like, oh, I'm getting this number and I'm getting that number, and then people are like, oh yeah. And I get numbers once in a while, but I love that. Like, I love how we're all just a little bit different, right?
Absolutely. And one of the things for me was I had early on, I mean, when I wasn't embracing this at all, I had seen some mediums, some psychics work, and I'm putting it in quotes because it was very general. It was really general information. And I'm like, and I would sit there watching him and I'm thinking, well, who's that going to help? But you know what I mean? Like it just, before I even really knew what it all was. And so then when this started happening, my prayer was always that I would be very evidential
Hmm.
as you are, because it's important to me. This work that I do, I always say that I love everything that I do. I love my products. They're like children. I love block therapy because it's changed my life. But the mediumship, I'm so honored to do this because I have had readings. My loved ones have come through. I mean, my mom came through when you were doing a gallery event and my mom came through. And I mean, it means so much to me, like to get those messages. So I'm very honored and I have a tremendous amount of respect for this work. And so when I really started to do it seriously, my prayer was then and continues to be, let me have really specific things to come through with.
Yeah.
I don't want to be just general.
Yes. I love that. And people don't hate on me, people, for this, but I love evidential mediumship. I think evidential mediums are the best because they bring in that evidence, right? They tell you what their car looked like, what they wore, how they dressed, their personality was. I don't really names is something that I struggle with. I don't Maybe like 2 times out of 10, I'll have the name correct, and, but all the other things I bring in, it's just a lot of evidence,
Absolutely.
and
I
I've
mean,
seen you do that as well. It's really great.
yeah, and I mean, you get such specific things. And I mean, I'm amazed the fact that you can draw stuff because, like, I can see things, but I can't draw anything. So, I love that. And I do think it's wonderful that we're all different
Mhm.
because that's just an expression of us, you know, in
Well,
this work.
I think that's why it's good to go to, like, try different mediums and, because we all, like, we all receive things a little bit differently,
Yes,
like, the same but different, right? We all have a different process or we have our connections a little different, and
absolutely.
so I always tell people, like, go find, don't just stick with one person. Go get a reading from someone else too. The other question I have for you is, so when you first decided to step into your journey and embrace your spirituality and your gifts, what was the biggest thing that you felt had gotten in your way, or your yeah, the biggest obstacle for you in that?
I was terrified to connect with lower energies. I was terrified about opening myself up. Like I was already open, but I was really afraid about opening myself up in that way and then being connected to, lower vibe stuff. Like, I don't do like, and this is me forever. I don't do Ouija boards. I don't do stuff like that. I just don't mess with that world because I don't need I don't need anything heavy. You know what I mean? I have a hard enough time staying light and in the space of love. That was a really big hurdle for me to get over. And then it was just a matter of my guides. Once I really connected and started that relationship with my guides, because before that, I didn't really realize that they were there. I thought I was doing this on my own.
Mhm.
And so
Yep.
once I really connected to them and had that conversation with them, and they're like, "Oh, you don't need to connect to any of that. You get to say how it works." And So I was like, I can? Well, then let's go for it, So that's just part of my, my process, my prayer process that I do before any type of intuitive work that I do is, stating what I allow in my space.
Yes. So let me ask you this question. Because I know you're married, what does your spouse think about the do?
Oh, well, now he's okay with it. He's a civil engineer, so he's very left-brained and very, logical and analytical and everything. And he didn't know because I didn't really know when we got married about it, but I would wake him up in the night and say, "Do you see that person there?" And he's like, "What?" Poor guy. Like I think about it now and I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, it's a miracle he stayed with me."
Right.
But but he has been the most supportive. And he's from a very religious, like fundamentalist home and everything and upbringing. So this is like the opposite of what he thought would be.
Mhm.
And so yeah, it's just but he's been so supportive and so wonderful about it all. And now he's my biggest fan.
I love that. I love that. I've met him and I think he's awesome and you can tell how much he cares about you.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, the other thing I want to ask you, what are some common misconceptions about mediumship for you, or even just psychic medium?
I think the common misconceptions is that we know everything. And there's this misconception like we should know everything. Like if you're really a psychic and a medium, then why don't you know the lotto numbers? Or you know what I mean? Things like that. Or why don't you know all these things? And it's like we get the information that we're supposed to get, and that's it. Like, maybe some psychics know lotto numbers, but I don't think that's for everybody. And, we don't get to say how it works like that. We don't get to say, I want to know this, but I don't want to know that. It just, so I think that's a common misconception. And I think another common misconception is that I don't know if I want to use the word easy, but that like anyone can do this. And I do think it's open to everyone, but I don't think it's everybody's path.
Yeah, exactly. So, do you think anybody can develop their like psychic and mediumship abilities, or do you think it's something that you're born with?
Well, I think some of us are born with it. I always think of it like that AM radio dial, that old-fashioned AM radio dial. We're
Hmm.
all on there. Some of us are just dialed in clear to the channel a little more, and some of us are in the fuzz. I'm sorry.
That's
Um,
okay.
but I do think we're all on there, and I do think we all are intuitive. It's just how we're made, right? Because the purpose of intuition is this is the other misconception. I'm sorry that I would like to
That's
say
okay.
it goes with this. So I think everybody's on the dial and everybody's intuitive.
Hmm.
I think some people are afraid to tune into their intuition because they think they're going to be a psychic medium then, or and that's not the truth. Like the purpose of our intuition is for ourselves.
Yes.
I call it our GPS, our guidance per spirit, and it's there to help guide us to the next right answer or to the next right choice, to the next right whatever. And so that's what it's there for. So everybody has intuition and everybody can increase their intuition and should, I believe. That's what it's there for. But does that mean everybody is going to be a psychic or a psychic medium? No, because that's not everybody's path, right?
I love that. And you are psychic because that was my next question was what is the purpose? What do you think the purpose is?
Well, there we go.
Right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know. So, okay. So yeah, that was my next question and you already answered that one too.
Awesome.
So, what would I want to ask you what is one of your most memorable readings that you've done? Like what are so like I'm sure you have a bunch of readings that have stuck out. I know I do. But what's one that you recall that like really stood out to you?
I don't always remember a lot of my readings because I kind of do like a little clearing after so that they, because otherwise I feel like it would just be like a library overfilled in my brain.
Yes.
But I mean, there are some that just stick out because they're just so impactful. I mean, I had this, I did a session with this woman who was in terrible, terrible guilt about her husband who died. And she felt like she was the cause and was just so guilty. And it was just ruining her, it was paralyzing her. And he came through with all this really specific stuff, very evidential, which I appreciated at the beginning, so that there was no doubt that it was him. And then he made sure that she knew it was him. Then he came through with these messages about why it wasn't her fault. And it was powerful. And I mean, and even me, it made me emotional. And I don't always get emotional when I'm doing readings, but it made me emotional that day. And then like a month later, she messaged me and she's just like, I just have to tell you that changed my life, because I went from not being able to be in life to being paralyzed with guilt and all of this to now living life and enjoying it, which is what it's all about. That's what her husband wanted, right?
Yes.
He doesn't want her in the guilt. They never want us holding ourselves in those places that we do. They want us to be free to live. We talked a lot about this yesterday.
Yes, I know. And I was on Michelle's radio show yesterday, and it's exactly what we were talking about. They just want us to live and be happy,
Yeah, they do.
right? That's how we honor them.
And this woman, I mean, I understood, because when I was doing the reading and all the stuff that was coming out, I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, this poor woman. I can completely see where, as a wife, you would put yourself in that place. But he was like, please don't, and it had been a while that she had been doing that. So anyway, that one just came to mind. There's so many, but I love that one.
Yeah. I thank you for sharing. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
When you did a reading for me the first time, my dad came through with some messages, and so that was it was really nice to connect with him, and because I know he's always around, but I think because he's so around me so much that I don't. It's hard for me to distinguish like his energy from mine, unless he like comes knocking on the door, like, "Hey, Rachel, I'm trying to." You're not listening, right? Which that happens sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
So it is nice to have somebody that can, come and deliver a message for me too.
Yeah, and I think it's like we're mediums, and we feel all of that energy, and of course we feel the energy of our loved ones, and it's wonderful and a blessing and so comforting. And sometimes it's nice to hear a message from them through someone else, because it's just validation, or it just kind of solidifies it.
Yes. So, what advice would you give to somebody that's just starting to open up spiritually?
I would say put aside all ideas, notions, preconceived things that you have about it, and try to be as neutral, come to as neutral space as you can. Protection is key. You've got to make sure that you understand how energy works, how you take care of yourself, self-care as far as energy goes, and your self-protection. Um, and knowing that I always say you're the architect of it. Like, you're the architect of your own intuitive experience. So you get to say what you're okay with and what you're not okay with, or how you want, how you
Yeah.
want it to be. Like I said, mine is really clear. Like, I don't deal with that low vibe stuff. So like, if I go, it's no fun to go on a ghost hunt with me, because I'm going to connect to the fun or the lively spirits, not the scary ones, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's not me. Like, I feel them, but I'm like, "You stay over there." So,
Yeah, I love that. So, how many years have you been doing this kind of work?
professionally since 2010.
That's a long while. And so when you started your journey, did you have any mentors, any teachers that kind of helped you along the way?
Well, I took that class, and, Laurel Lowe was an amazing mentor, and she taught that class for a long time, and then she wanted to move from teaching the class and asked me if I would take it over, so I did. So that was just a really beautiful, like, full circle moment.
Nice.
And then, like, Laurel, and then I watched some shows. I watched, like, John Edward, and a lot of prayer and a lot of working on connecting to my spiritual team, which I guess that would be something I would recommend for people just starting out too, to try to, to work on connecting with their spiritual team because we all have them and they help a lot.
Who are some of the ascended masters that you work with?
I love to work with Archangel Michael because I think he's so powerful and strong, yet so gentle. Like that doesn't make sense, but he's just so loving. And I just love to call on him for protection or like clearing paths whenever I need paths cleared or, things like that. I love that. Mother Mary, I call on her a lot personally for help with things. And if I feel like I'm stuck in a certain area, because sometimes I do get stuck. Sometimes it's like I'm not able to connect in this way as well as I was, and I also love like Archangel Raphael and Archangel Metatron. Jesus always, because Jesus is love, pure love. And so, there's nothing better than that as far as mediumship and psychic and being psychic and intuitive go for me. And then I also have done some ancestral work and I'm connected with an ancestor from many, many generations back who is actually a female shaman, which all this sounds kind of crazy when I say it, but
That's
anyway,
okay.
but so I connect with her too. And yeah, and you know what, it also just like that's who my tribe is right now, but it's changed over the years depending on where I'm at and what I need, you know?
Yeah. Well, I love that you mentioned Jesus, because I think like one of the biggest common misconceptions that I would run into a lot, which I had assumed myself, was that, psychics and mediums and people that did this kind of work didn't have a faith or didn't believe in God or believe in Jesus. And so I love that you're very open about that too.
Absolutely. Well, it's my work is because of that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like I said, I believe that that's what our intuition is. Our intuition is God and Jesus guiding us. And so that's it. And, and I mean, yes, that's a huge misconception that, we're not religious, or I don't even want to say religious. We're not faithful and that we're not communicating with, those higher realms. And that's just absolutely not the case.
So my other question is, what's the hardest part of being a psychic medium?
For me, sometimes it's knowing things, but not knowing where it goes. And I don't know if that makes sense. Like a few months, like a while back, it was a Sunday evening and everything was going along. And then all of a sudden, I'm in brushing my teeth to go to bed. And I just get this wave of like heavy, like hopeless despair and like suicide. And I'm like panicked because I'm like, oh my gosh, because it came on so strong. So I'm like asking my husband, are you okay? Are you, then I'm like, my son and everything was fine. And so then I'm just like, okay. And sometimes when I have when I have those really overwhelming emotions come and I'm not sure where they are, I'll acknowledge it and then say, okay, I'm going to press pause on that because I don't know what it's about. And when I trust that when I need to know, I will know. So I had that. I did my process to calm down and went to bed, woke up the next morning and I was up, and maybe within 10 minutes of being up, I got a message from a dear friend that her husband had committed suicide the night before. And so and it's like right when, like my time, it coincided with that. And so that's hard. You know what I mean? Because I don't know. I don't know what it is. And it feels so real. It,
Mhm.
so yeah, that's hard. Other than that, I mean, I think it's hard when people have expectations beyond what's reasonable, you know?
Yes. So, so how do you protect your energy as an intuitive?
I do a lot of visualization with surrounding myself. I actually that right now that Archangel Michael, Mary, Metatron, and Jesus are like my grid keepers, if you will. I put them on the four corners and ask them to not only protect me, but my house. Like I do that
Hmm.
all the time. And the space around our house. And so I visualization, like I said, I ask for help with the spiritual realm. I have a few products that are for that, are for cleaning and clearing and protection of our physical and energetic body, which are really good. And then, just trying to make sure that I, clean and clear after between sessions and things like that. Because it's important. It builds up. It's like energetic clutter.
Yes. And do you have to make sure you shield like before you go out or you're out in public?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Especially if I'm going someplace with a lot of people.
Oh yeah, for
And
sure.
and some days it's like I can do all the things and I can just tell before I go, like, this is going to be like, maybe I shouldn't go because I'm just, it's just going to be a lot. That's part of the responsibility of being in tune to your intuition, is listening to that.
Yes, I love that. So I want to go back to talking about your product line. I want to give some attention to that too because I think it's really great.
Thank you.
So I know you do like a lot of custom blends, correct? So
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about that. I know you said you got a lot of them are recipes you got downloaded, but like are they for specific things? Like what are
Yes.
some of the things your blends are for?
So all of my blends have been downloaded. They've all been channeled. I mean, however you want it, channeled, downloaded, whatever. They're all for specific things. So, like I said, the first recipe that I got was for cleaning and clearing a space. So that's my clear blend, and that only comes in a spray. The next one that I got was, it's called Invigorate, and it's a scrub, and it's to for so the scrubs, the salt in my product acts like an ionizer. So all that junk that fills us up, those are positive ions, and the negative ions in my products attach and pull them out, because that's the only way. They just stay in our body if we don't get them out. So the scrubs are really deep cleaning for your physical and energetic body. And the Invigorate is all citrus. So it's wonderful for your mood, because those are natural antidepressants, the
Hmm.
citrus oils. And then I have the Protect, which I talked about, which is twofold. It helps to protect us. So it provides us a bubble around us so that we don't take stuff on. And it also works really heavily on our heart center. So it's really good for depression, can help with depression and anxiety, things like that. I find often people that have issues with depression are very psychic and very empathic, and they just don't know it.
Yes.
And they don't know, they're taking on all this stuff and then they can't deal with it because it's not theirs, right? And so we can't do anything. And so that helps a lot. I have one that I made for my husband because I was sick of him using Bengay all the time. I didn't like the smell of it. And so I asked for something that he could use for his aches and pains, because he used to play a lot of basketball. And I'm the guinea pig. I use everything I make on myself first and see what it does. And I don't have aches and pains, but I noticed that I was feeling like calmer and just like really grounded. And then as I looked into it more, it's called Release. So it works really well on aches and pains, but it's great for your liver. So it helps with anger and old emotions that are just needing to be moved out. But see, my newest thing is, it's actually flower essences, which are really beautiful. They're a little different than essential oils because they're just the essence of the flower. They're lighter, but they're incredibly powerful. And in these really heavy times, I think they're really effective. And I was given a recipe for what I told was going to be called Joy. And
I love
so
that.
it's flower essences that come together to help us remove the stuff that keeps us from feeling joy.
Nice. I like that.
And can I mention one thing, Rachel? Because I also do custom blends for people.
Mm,
So I often have people reach out to me and say, I feel like I need something that's just for me right now. And so I tune in to their energy and
yes.
then create a blend that's for them in that time.
Nice. I like that. I'm gonna have to check out some of your stuff. You've given me some ideas of things I need.
Awesome. Yeah. Let me know.
So how do people get a hold of your products?
They can go to my website, which is michellesnelling.com. And it's Michelle with one L and Snelling with two. Most people put two L's in Michelle and then
Mhm.
can't figure out why they can't find me. So it's michellesnelling.com. Pretty easy.
I love that. And then, so are all your services on your website then? So if people want to get a reading or if they
Yep.
want to purchase some of your products?
Absolutely. The only thing I don't have on my website yet is my block therapy, and that is coming. So, yeah,
Yeah.
but all the big stuff, the readings, the The product, all the products, everything is there. Yep.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the block therapy, because I know when I first met you and you were doing these block therapy classes, I was like, "What is that? Like, what is block therapy?" Like,
Yeah, it's
and I was so excited because I did finally take one of your classes and it was amazing. And
thank
so
you.
you're definitely going to have to get some more classes scheduled.
Yeah,
But yeah, and I think one of our friends even liked it so much she went and got her own block so that she could do it. But
she did.
so why don't you tell us a little bit about what is block therapy?
So it's working with your fascia. It's a modality that deals with fascia, which is the largest organ in our body. It innervates every single muscle, tendon, bone, organ, cell, everything. And we have like 1 trillion+ cells. So we've got a ton of fascia, and it's made of collagen and elastin. And basically what happens is over time with improper posture, and because gravity pulls us in forward and down all the time, the fascia, collagen in the fascia grips and freezes to hold us in place and to hold us upright. And so we go through life doing all this stuff that isn't good for us, and the fascia is keeping us upright and freezing all over. And what happens is that causes blockages so that there's not blood and oxygen flow like we need, and energetic flow, right? Because it's about all of it. And so what the block therapy does is it's a block. I don't have it right here. I'd show you, but it's not that big. It's probably 8 or 9 inches tall and then 6 inches wide and maybe 3 inches thick. It's got rounded edges. It's made of specific woods because the founder who created this like 25 years ago, she only wants us to use wood that mimics our bone because that makes it effective in melting. What you want to do is like when you go and have a deep tissue massage, they get into the fascia, right? But they don't get as deep as we want to go. We want to go as far down as we can to the bone so that we
Yes.
get to those really deep adhesions and start that melting. And I got, I was attracted to it and I didn't know why, but again, intuitively, I just knew like I need this. So I got it. And then it sat there for a long time. And then I started using it a little bit and I liked it. And then I moved and I put it away and forgot about it. Then when I got where I had moved, I was just had so much grief came up. And I was doing a lot of things to deal with it. But what I found was you start every block therapy with the belly position, which means you just put the block on the ground, you lay on top of it with your belly button right in the middle of the block, and you breathe. You breathe a specific way with block therapy. And that is really important because we have thousands of brain receptors in our belly and that actually signal our brain to do things, right?
Nice.
Important things like calm down. And so I didn't know why, but I just was attracted to it. So when I was in all that grief, I would just go lay on that block and do that belly position like 4 times a day and I felt better. And I didn't know why. And then it just kind of snowballed. And for me as an intuitive and an energy worker, it's made a huge difference for me because I knew that there was a floor. Like I could go so deep with certain things, but I could feel that there was like a stopping point. And I'm like, well, come on, how do I get through that?
Yes.
And block therapy has helped me with that.
I love it. And like I said, I've done one of your classes and it was amazing. And so aside from classes, do you also work one-on-one with clients?
I do. Yes. Because I'm a fascia alignment coach, I can look at someone and look at their fascia patterns and see what we need to work on to help them. So, and the interesting thing about fascia is it's very counterintuitive, meaning when we have a backache, if our lower back aches, we think, okay, I gotta work on my lower back. But what I have found with fascia in my training and with my own work and work with clients is that that's not where you have the pain is not where it originated. So like with the lower back, everybody that I deal with that has lower back issues, we work on the legs and the feet
Okay.
and that releases it. And so it's very interesting.
That is very interesting. I love that. So you are just like a wealth of knowledge, aren't you? I love that you shared all that stuff with us.
Yeah, thank you, Rachel.
And like I said, people need to go check out your website. It's Michelle with one L, Snelling with two.com.
Yeah.
And so as we start to wrap up here, I did want to ask you, do you have any events coming up?
Right now, my podcasts, I'm going to have a circle with the All Things Spiritual, which I think is going to be the 12th of April,
Oh,
maybe?
that's right.
I'm
Let me
not
see.
positive about that. Don't quote me on that. I think it's the 13th. And that's going to be some education about salt, complete salt, essential oils and flower essences, which I'm excited about because I love educating about those things. And then my podcasts on Monday and Wednesday. And yeah, that's for right now. I mean, I am planning more block therapy classes. I'm just looking for a space to do them. I was doing them at the library and I love that, but there were a couple issues. And so I had to stop that for just the time being. But, if I can't find something, then I'll go back. And
Okay.
because it's important I want to bring this modality to people because I think it really does help. It helps emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually on all levels. So,
It does. It does. We hold a lot of emotions in our bodies. I
yeah,
think
well,
people don't realize that.
the issues are in the tissues, right? And the body keeps score. We know that. So how do we know that, but we want to know how do we deal with it? And that's important for us all.
Yes. So, where can people find your podcast, Michelle?
On Syndicate Empire, just go to syndicateempire.com and then the homepage will have my scheduled podcasts at the bottom.
Nice.
Or if you want to listen to replays, they're all there too. If you want to go and
Mhm.
listen to the awesome shows that Rachel's been on, the two mediums are better than one. We've had great conversations and we've had the two mediums, one question is a great segment that we've had a lot of fun with.
Yeah, that one's been a lot of fun. So, oh, look, it's 7-Eleven. So, the other
There you
question
go.
I know, I'm like, oh, it's 7-Eleven right now. That's always a big sign for me.
Mhm.
So, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you want to share? Anything I missed?
I think you've asked great questions in this. You're such a great interviewer. The one thing that I didn't say that I do that I think is really important that kind of encompasses all the different aspects of what I offer is that I believe that we're not when we're trying to do healing and wellness, our inclination is to just deal with whatever. So if it's a physical issue, we're just looking at the physical. But I believe it's a combination of all of it. It's a combination of physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And so everything that I do, whether it be my mediumship and my intuitive, my products or my block therapy, it's going to address the whole person, which is really important to me.
Nice. So, if listeners can take one thing away from our conversation, what should it be?
Embrace your intuition and be like open to it and be open to learning and growing and knowing that you're in charge and you get to say how it goes.
I love that. Well, thank you, Michelle, for coming on, and I'll be sure to put your links in the podcast description. And then for all you people out there that are watching this, like Michelle had said, she is a member. We have a All Things Spiritual Community Facebook group, and she is one of our premier members. So she's somebody that we highly recommend working with. And you can find her in our All Things Spiritual Facebook group. It's All Things Spiritual Community on Facebook. And you can also find her on our website, which is allthingsspiritualco.com.
Mhm.
And then to get in touch with Michelle, it's Michelle Snelling with one L, Michelle with one L, Snelling with two dot
Yeah.
com.
Yeah.
And then can people find you on Facebook as well, Michelle?
Absolutely. Michelle Snelling is my business page or Michelle Snelling is my personal page. So I do both. I'm not great at doing, the business page. I'm also on Instagram, Michelle Snelling. So YouTube, Michelle Snelling.
Nice. And then the other thing too is you talked about doing the circle groups. So the All Things Spiritual Facebook group, every month we have a development circle that we do. And it's a place where one of our premier practitioners will come and teach. They'll teach about a topic and you can come and learn. We try to keep it a little interactive. It's on Zoom. So we do try to keep it a little interactive in there. But Michelle is going to be our teacher for the month of April. So you guys, if come and join us, and you can come if you're local to Colorado Springs. We do meetups. We also have meetups we're in Colorado basically, but we are starting to have groups in other areas as well. We have a Colorado Springs meetup. We have a Castle Rock meetup, a South Denver meetup that's just starting, and we're going to also have a meetup in Buena Vista.
Yes.
So yeah, so if you're interested in starting a meetup in your area, definitely contact me. You can find me at All Things Spiritual Community Facebook or RachelOrtega.com. And
Yeah.
my name is Rachel with a R-A.
Yeah. You know how it is, don't you, Rachel?
Yes.
People are
But
like, "What? That's weird,"
yeah.
or whatever, but yeah.
And thank you so much, Michelle, for coming on and being my first guest that I've ever interviewed. I'm excited.
Oh, I'm honored, Rachel. Thank you. And I just, I love the all things spiritual community and I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for all the connections and I love the Facebook page. It's a wealth of information and great things. So I'm happy to be a premier member and thanks for having me.
Hi, everyone. If you enjoyed this interview, don't forget to support the All Things Spiritual podcast. Give us a like and a follow so you never miss an episode. And come join our All Things Spiritual community on Facebook to connect with others on a similar path. You can also explore events, resources, and more at allthingsspiritualco.com. Your support helps us grow this amazing community, and we're so glad you're here. Thank you for watching.